Hello, people of YouTube. I am Cadethian. Kind of similar to the video I did a while ago where I posted some garage sale finds that I got. In a couple of weeks since then, I've gone to some flea markets as well. There's one closer to my parents' house that I usually go to once a month, and then there is one a bit further out, about halfway between my place and the family cabin. And I usually go there, usually a Memorial Day weekend and then Labor Day weekend. That one opens at sunrise, which on Memorial Day weekend is like 5:30 in the morning, and it's an hour drive to get there. So I'm waking up at 4:30 a.m. to drive for an hour and then walk around for 3 hours and hope that I find something worthwhile. So that's why I only do that one a couple times a year. I can only take getting up that early so many times. But I thought I'd share with you the kind of stuff that I picked up and just kind of talk about my experiences a little bit. First, most of the stuff that I picked up is like movies. I did get one VHS tape. Alice in Wonderland, the old Disney one. This is like these are called Black Diamond. There's the classics. The box has seen better days, I suppose, but relatively nice shape. And the tape itself looks fine. Nicely rewound. I'm hoping it works fine. I've seen far worse VHS tapes. There was another tape that I was thinking of getting at the same flea market. This was at the nearby one. But I saw, what was it? Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is one that I would like to pick up. I have, I think The Last Crusade. But Raiders of the Lost Ark, when I pulled it out of the sleeve, there were a lot of white spots in all the tape. And I was like, I bet that's mold. So I put that thing back. But I think this cost me like $1. So even if it doesn't work, just kind of throw it away, I guess, or something. But I expect it to work. It looks nice. So yeah, another one kind of for the Disney collection, I guess. I've been slowly picking up Disney VHS tapes. I think like last year I picked up Lilo and Stitch. So that was a fun movie to watch. But anyway, moving on to the next movie. Let's see here. The rest are DVDs. But I got Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. I kind of figure I should start picking up the Harry Potter movies. I've had Sorcerer's Stone, Chamber of Secrets, and Order of the Phoenix for a long time. But for whatever reason, I never picked up Azkaban, Goblet of Fire, Half-Blood Prince, or what's number 7 called? The Deathly Hallows, Part 1 and 2. So now I have numbers 1, 2, 5, and 6. So hopefully at some future garage sales or flea markets, I can start picking up the ones I'm missing. But yeah, I think this was, 50 cents? So really cheap. So that was really cool. I've kind of learned that like 50 cents is the floor for DVDs. You'll see a lot of like $1 bins, but every now and then you'll find someone doing 50 cents each, which is pretty nice. So yeah, pretty basic, but it's Harry Potter. So then moving on to the next one, which was the third movie I found at that first flea market, Timeline. This is a good one. I haven't seen it in a long time, but it's basically like a group of archaeologists end up getting sucked back through time to like medieval France, and they have to try and not die, which is surprisingly difficult. I think the French are like in a war with Britain at the time, so English-speaking people suddenly appearing is a problem. And it's interesting because every time I've told someone that I picked up this movie, no one knows what in the hell this movie's about. Which is kind of disappointing. I always remembered it being a good movie, but maybe I'm weird and that's just not the consensus. Either way, it'll be fun to watch this one again. I think, never mind. This one's just a disc too. I thought maybe it had a pamphlet or something. But yeah, this will be a fun one to revisit. I think I haven't seen it in like 10 years or something. So it'll be a fun watch. Next movie, Star Trek First Contact. I'm a big Star Trek fan. I love like TNG, Deep Space Nine. Voyager's my favorite. I know a lot of people, that's kind of an odd choice. I think most people like Next Generation is their favorite. Or if you like really like the kind of long arc of Deep Space Nine, that's a popular favorite. I'm not a big fan of kind of the newer Star Treks. Like, I've watched, I think, the first two seasons of Discovery, and it was okay, but definitely had a much darker tone. I don't know. It didn't feel like Star Trek to me. Like watching like TNG and Voyager and stuff. Some of those are just like wonky, episodic sci-fi things. Like, oh, the holodecks malfunctioning, and now we're stuck in the Wild West, or something like that. Very strange. Whereas kind of the new ones are like a 10 episode season with one overarching story. You don't really have that episodic feel to it at all. I know there's like Strange New Worlds. I haven't seen any of that. I haven't wanted to re up my Paramount Plus subscription or anything. I think before I only had a free trial. But yeah, Star Trek First Contact is one of my favorite of the Next Generation era movies. This is the one where I think they end up going back in time and trying to protect Zephyr Cochrane from the Borg, who are trying to stop humans from getting warp travel. Maybe this one's like the pamphlet. Yeah, this got some kind of pamphlet, a little flyer. Oh, it's just a list of all the chapters. But yeah, this is a fun movie. One of my favorite Star Trek movies. 1 hour 11 minutes. I have what's the one where they have the planet that makes everybody younger? Not that's Insurrection, I think. Star Trek Insurrection, and Nemesis, the one with the Reman people. But yeah, I think I have Star Trek Insurrection on VHS. So I was like, do I really want to get a DVD for one and then have VHS for the other? But I can play them both on the same TV, so it's not a big deal. And then the next item I got, PS1 memory card. I pretty much ran through the one other memory card I have with just like Final Fantasy games. So I really needed another one. And I saw this in a bin at a video game reseller. It's like $5, sure. I'll take it. I was at that reseller for a different reason I'll get to in a little bit. But yeah, it was a nice pickup. I have more room to play some of the other random stuff I've got. I think in my garage sailing video I mentioned that I picked up, what was it, like Crash Bandicoot 2, and there might have been, I think Spyro the Dragon I picked up recently. So nice to have room to save those without deleting some Final Fantasy saves. And not a bad price. Assuming the thing works. That's a big assumption with some of these flea markets. And then I got a Super Nintendo game, Aladdin for the Super Nintendo. I have the Genesis Aladdin. I think must be is this Majesco? Assembled in Mexico. I bet it's like Majesco or something. Or, the Mexico ones tend to have this like molded plastic back to them, whereas a lot of like the made in Japan ones have the printed sticker here, and then they'll have the stamp with like the 2 numbers and maybe a letter that indicates revision. I haven't had a chance to play much of this yet, but it seems like a fun, goofy little platformer. I have tested it. It does work. There have been games I picked up where they don't work. I think I have Super Street Fighter 2 that I picked up a few years back for $5, and that just doesn't boot. I also tried dumping that one's ROM with a retro, and that wouldn't dump either. So I think I need to open that thing up and see, like get a multimeter or something, and see if I can figure out what the problem is. And hopefully get that thing working. I think I also have Snake Rattle and Roll I bought at some point that doesn't work. So I'm slowly getting a collection of future projects or soldering experiments. But yeah, Aladdin's kind of a classic one. I think I have the compilation on on the Switch that has like Aladdin, Jungle Book, and one other set of games. God, I'm forgetting stuff today. But anyway, those will be fun to tinker with eventually. And then the most interesting item, at least for me, that I found was a Super Nintendo. It's not interesting in that it's rare or anything, but it was just $5. And I kind of wanted to have a spare Super Nintendo just to leave out at the cabin, so I didn't have to haul mine or like my Super NT or something if I want to go out there. I've got an NES out there that came from my grandma's place before she passed away. I've got a Sega Genesis out there that I got at a garage sale for $10. This one's kind of in rough shape. Obviously, it's chipped here. It's pretty badly yellowed. Um, and when I asked whether it was working, at first one of the women said, or the woman who was there said, yeah, oh yeah, it's working. It didn't come with any hookups or anything, but I have spares. And then she went and asked her wife, and then the wife was like, it's untested. But to me, it's like, well, it's $5. It's like, who cares? If it doesn't work, it's like maybe I can use it for parts or something at some point, or maybe it'll be a soldering project like some of those other items that I have. Trying a fun project, try and figure out what's wrong with it. And I have done some testing on it so far. When I first got back to the cabin, I plugged it in and was using an RF switch. And after some cleaning, Aladdin did boot. And it seemed to play fine. But then when I got into the first level, I tried to press B to jump and the game paused, which is not normal. I discovered that B, Y, and select would all pause the game, whereas A and X wouldn't. Those seem to be working fine, as do L and R. So that's a weird problem. I thought, well, maybe it's like the controller or something. Maybe it's just the game. I tried cleaning the game again. That didn't help. And then I brought it home today, and I've done some further testing with it. And it seems like pressing Y or B also presses start, select, up, and down all at the same time. Start, I think, also presses up and down, and select. Select presses up, down, and start, and up also presses down sometimes. After some testing, up stopped pressing down. I don't know what the deal is with that. But one thing I did to try and resolve the issue was swapping out the controller ports, because I have my working Super Nintendo here. So I just unscrewed everything on both consoles and swapped the ribbon cable assembly and everything. But the problem was still there. And based on my research online, I'm kind of thinking it might be the CPU is failing now, which would be real disappointing. I tried downloading some diagnostic test programs to use with my SD to SNES. The problem is on both the burn-in test cartridge ROM and the random test ROM that I found, you need to press select to switch which test you do. And the problem is select also presses start, which means either nothing happens, or when I release select, it doesn't move the cursor and it just goes into the first option, which is controller test. So I was able to do controller test, which got me the information about which buttons are being pressed and when, but I can't do like the CPU tests or anything because I can't get there. If I had more like ROM hacking expertise, maybe I could go into that ROM and like switch the buttons around or something. So like A is swapped for select or something, but I'm not savvy enough to know how to do that. The farthest I've gone in ROM hacking is poking around in like Pokemon's ROM and like switching the encounters in like Slowpoke well. Making it like Articuno's and stuff down there. And tinkering, I think, with the prototype ROM for Gold and Silver was a bit of fun too. But yeah, the only thing I can really think to do otherwise is disassemble this even more. Get like the bottom of the board open and see if like maybe there's lint in the wrong place crossing some contacts or something. Otherwise, I think it is probably just shot, which is really disappointing because like it runs. Everything seems to run fine. It's just the controller inputs, which is frustrating. Like I was able to beat the first level of Aladdin because if you held down B and you unpause, your jump would continue. But I tried like Super Mario Kart and F-Zero today, and neither of those work because B just pauses, and even holding B and unpausing, it doesn't trigger as if you're trying to move. Controller port 2 works fine. So there's that. So I can lose to my friends in Mario Kart. But, yeah. So this was interesting. One other item I got that I don't have with me right now was just a aftermarket power adapter. Just because I didn't have one at the cabin and I wanted to test it right away. So that cost me $7. So all in all, I think I spent like $33 in total between everything I showed today. If anyone knows anything about how to fix this, besides replacing the CPU, let me know. I might post on Reddit about it or just bang this thing on my table. Try and do some cleaning and see if maybe that helps, but I don't have a lot of faith. I was hoping, you know, I'd have a spare for the cabin. Maybe I'd like buy a cool shell to replace this yellow shell. That'd kind of be a waste now if it's not working properly. But for $5, you can't really complain. And if like my controller ports on my working Super Nintendo or like the power supply fails, I can farm those off of this and get my regular one working. So kind of nice to have, I guess, a 4 parts Super Nintendo hanging around. So that's what I had to show you today. I don't really have any more like garage sale or flea market stuff coming up. The next time I'll go to the flea market will probably be towards the end of June. I guess I'll have my birthday in the middle there. And I'll probably have some Pokemon cards to open in the meantime. So you can look forward to more of that content. I am still live streaming for now. Nobody seems to come to watch, so I'm kind of wondering if maybe it's best until I grow some kind of an audience who would want to watch me live to just record stuff offline and upload it as a regular video. I don't know how that affects the YouTube algorithm. If anyone has any thoughts on what kind of content you like, I'm kind of split between gameplay, I guess Pokemon stuff, and then just kind of my general retro game stuff. I'm interested in all of them, but I think the Pokemon stuff definitely gets the most views. So just let me know what kind of stuff you want to see, what stuff you'd like to see me focus on, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.